Om Gyantavinandasya Gananjala Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Vasai Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paskachad Deshatarani Nama Om Vishnu Padai Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimati Bhaktivedanta Narayani Niti Namani. Welcome. So, um, today we're going to be doing, I'll talk a little bit, and then we're going to be doing a demo on an internal family systems demo focused more on protective part. So in response to an earlier question, what do you do when someone can't or won't identify an issue or feel a feeling or identify any helpful resources? And it's possible you need to take more time to build trust with that person and their protective parts. It's possible they have a strong manager protector, protecting from the therapy itself or the possibility of change. Change can seem like a scary unknown, more risky than the pain of how it is now. At that point, you can decide to devote your energy and skills to someone else whose system is more ready and willing to make a change, or you can take extra time building trust and attending to the relationship. Their manager may push for an end to the therapy anyway, and that is something to be aware of. I just in the last week had worked with someone who had a really strong manager. Like in the intake, it was like 0, 0, 0 as far as any issue, no issue. Don't check on any issue. I have no issue. and then, and that manager was so strong that we just, did a couple sessions and just acknowledged that this wasn't going to work out so well. I quite often for one person who's really not ready for therapy, I can help multiple people with the amount of time and energy that might take, or it just wouldn't work out. It's hard to make therapy work with someone who insists it's not working after, and this is the same example, say 20 minutes of brain spotting. Maybe the part doubles down when you get curious. So that happened. I believe it's better to acknowledge when it's not a good fit than to burn yourself out and not help those who are ready and even eager for what you have to offer. So that's my personal opinion. Others may have a different opinion. So today I'm really excited to introduce the internal family systems. And this is an evidence-based trauma treatment therapy that's especially great for developing internal compassion, repairing relationships, and clearing lingering, painful, challenging defenses, blocks, and avoidance tendencies. The parts work may help heal, and quite often does, attachment wounds, really good for developmental trauma. It can be helpful for transforming internal self-defeating chatter, a distractor protector internally that just creates a lot of mental chatter, as well as shifting habits and addictive means of coping. And we'll go right into the demo with Sarit, and then I'll share some more afterwards. Sarit, welcome. So what brings you here today? What would you like to focus on? Another way of asking is, what's bothering you the most?
Well, the fear to express myself and speak up for myself and saying what I think when to people that or to when I'm asked. So kind of honestly share myself.
Mm, yeah. So the fear, are there any thoughts that go with that? Do you notice some of the kinds of things that you might think and then you uh, feel afraid or don't express yourself?
Yes, like that I won't be understood, that I won't be able to say what I want. Like I have this I sometimes out of this fear I would start to talk a lot and but kind of talk from my mind and then be disconnected, that I'll be disconnected from what I really want to say. And then I say things that are wrong, that I say things that are stupid, what people would think about me. These are some of.
Do you mind tilting your screen down just a little bit so we see a little bit more of you? Perfect. So go ahead and go inside and see if you locate where you most feel this, or where there's a protective part who is discouraging you from speaking up, from sharing what you have to say.
Well, I feel it right now in my abdomen, in my chest, and a bit in my throat.
Mm. So that, chances are that's more than one part. Maybe just focus in on your throat or the upper and see what you notice. Get acquainted with that part there.
I feel tightness.
Mm, mm. And what else do you notice?
Tightness. My voice just want to shut down.
Mm.
Uh,
So it sounds like that part is kind of wanting to shut down your expression right now in this moment. And let that part know you get it. How do you feel towards the part?
um, I feel some compassion towards it,
Mm,
some sadness.
mm.
Um,
Is the sad part willing to kind of just ease back and just give a little more space? You can just ask and and notice if you feel an easing up of that sad feeling. Reassure the sad part that she'll get attention when the time is right.
yeah,
You notice a little bit of easing in that feeling?
yeah.
Thank her for that. And I'm going with her. If you ever go, no, it's not a her, it's a him or it or whatever you prefer, just let me know. I'm going with her on your parts, unless you mention something otherwise. So focusing in on the part who's wanting to shut down your expression. How do you feel towards her now that sad part's kind of easing up? How do you feel towards her? Still feel the compassion?
Well, there's a part that feels also some frustration.
Let that part know you get it. Is there is there something that part wants you to know or wants to express with the frustration?
Um, yes, that it is. That's this part that keeps me, keeps me from expressing is kind of giving me trouble in a sense. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess the part that is frustrated is just feeling like kind of it keeps it from living, keeps it from um, showing up fully.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know you understand. That can be frustrating. Ask her if she might be willing to ease back and give space. Maybe, you know, let her know there's a gallery above you, kind of like a surgery gallery. If she wants to find a comfortable seat, she can watch, or she can, um, if she doesn't want to watch, she can, uh, find somewhere else or take a mini vacation. That's my words. What would she like?
That's for the frustrated part.
Yes, let her know that sometimes it can be helpful to get some understanding what's going on with the other part, to watch if she'd like, or whatever she would like.
But yeah, that actually that frustrated part feels like a hate. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, uh, would he like to give some space? Let him know he doesn't have to give space, but would he like to? And maybe observe what's happening and maybe get some understanding or some insight.
Yeah, he's willing.
Thank him for that. Thank him for that willingness. And does he want to be in the gallery? You want to find him a comfortable seat in the gallery?
He's just gonna wait.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, and sit and wait. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He wants to get kind of does he want to find another room in the where you are, or does he want to kind of take a mini vacation or go to devotee parts, go to the temple?
He- yeah, he's sitting. He's just gonna sit by and then wait.
Okay. And checking back in with the part who's wanting to protect you from expressing. Um, how do you feel towards her now that these other parts are giving space?
Um, some understanding.
Mhm. And how is she responding to your understanding?
Um, well, she's kind of happy to be understood and
Mm,
acknowledged.
mm. Let her know you're glad. And just double checking, ask her if she feels like she has space, or is there another part present that she's not comfortable with?
There's still a part that feels fear comes up.
Mhm.
Um,
Is there a part present that she feels a bit afraid of?
Um, that part, that's kind of like, hey, what if, and are you doing the right thing?
Mm. So, um, does that feel like, where do you feel the fear in your body?
Mm. Like my upper abdomen.
Mhm. Let that vulnerable part know that you'll give her attention when the time is right. And let her know that it it could be helpful for her, for you to give some attention to the part who's projecting. Is she okay just kind of easing back, knowing that she'll get some attention when the time is right?
Yeah.
Thank her for that. Thank her for her willingness to kind of ease back. And now focus your attention back on this protector part in your throat area. How's she feeling? Does she feel like she has space?
Yeah. She's feeling like she's getting more attention.
Mm. Yeah, let her know she has your attention. And invite her to share anything she wants you to know.
That she wants to know that she try to help me, fit me in, keep me safe.
Mm. Invite her to share more about who she's protecting. It could be just you, or it could be she's also protecting another part.
Mm. Definitely. She's protecting me.
Mm.
Um,
Let her know you really appreciate, if you feel to, let her know you really appreciate her helpfulness and her protectiveness. Ask her how old she is. How old is she?
quite young. Um,
You think like younger than 5 or older, maybe?
I think probably 4 or 5,
4 or 5.
or even a little, you know, younger.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Oh, I think
ask her how old she thinks you are. She's protecting you. How old does she think you are?
Not sure.
Does she think you're younger than 10?
Mm. No, I think she thinks she thinks like somewhere teenage kind of.
Mm. Ask her, ask her if she'd like an update. And also, would you like to update this part? You can let her know you're quite a bit older and would she like an update so she knows your actual age?
Yeah, she's getting it.
So yes, on the update.
Yes.
Uh, so um, if you'd like, you can kind of uh, it's a timeline update. So it's not a trauma history, and it's also not these were the best times of my life. It's just more of a cut and dry timeline update so she can get oriented. Starting with, um, if there was high school, you can say I went to high school and kind of go on from there. If you're comfortable doing it out loud, do it out loud. If not, you can do it internally
So
or a
I'm not sure.
combination, either way.
Just
Mhm.
telling her like what kind of what was in my life and time in a sense. So I'm not sure what to
Um, yes, kind of
say.
like, when I went to graduated from school and lived here and uh, if married, I married, children, if children, um, where lived for however many years, and it doesn't have to be thorough at all, just enough to sort of orient her
Mm,
because she's thinking that you're still a teenager
mm.
and she's feeling protective towards you. So this update can be really transformational for a protective part.
Okay. And I'll just do it internally. Mm.
And just tell her your actual age. Maybe you have already.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I told her I'm
And
like, I'm now. Yeah.
what's it like for her? What's her feedback knowing your actual age? And
Kind of feel a little bit shy or kind of embarrassed that she's still back.
let her know you understand. It's a big adjustment. And let her know that happens a lot with parts. And ask her, you know, ask her if that makes it easier for her, knowing your age. Does she feel like that might make her job a little easier?
I was not sure. She's like not
Oh,
sure. She's like not sure. She's just um I feel like she's having some more parts that she's protecting and she didn't really think them.
mm. And I don't know, you understand. And ask her, invite her to share more about how she protects these parts.
Um, I feel like she's even I'm an adult now. She feels like these parts of for the vulnerable parts that she feels she protecting
Mm,
um from getting hurt.
mm. Let her know you understand and you appreciate that. Does she does she like her job of protecting?
It's exhausting, but it's a bit exhausting,
Mm-hmm.
um, tiring.
Yeah. Let her know you get it. It's a big job for someone so young, especially. Ask her if she would like your help protecting. Would she, is there anything she would like your help and support with now that she knows your age?
Yeah, she definitely like that. Like me to take off her burden.
Mm-hmm. She'd like your help with burdens of some of the vulnerable parts.
Was Mm.
Is that what she said, or did I mishear?
No, she like my help to take off her burden in trying to protect.
Oh,
Um,
uh-huh.
so she doesn't need to keep protecting. Um,
And what's your
my
response? Would you like to help her with that?
I would like to help her.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Let her know you'll check in with her another time and kind of work out what she'd like to do and what you can do to help her. And ask her, just say if you felt completely safe and you were free to do whatever dream job in my system that you would like to do, what would you most like to do? Or it could be rest, could be more rest.
May ask for her like what she would like to do.
What she would like to do if she felt
If
completely
she
safe and
mm, mm. is helping me be connected and speak my truth, like boldly, fearlessly, just compassionately.
Mhm. Thank her for that, if you'd like. Expressing whatever appreciation you'd like to express to her. What is her concern? What might happen if these other parts are not protected? Or another way is like, where did you learn to protect in this way?
Mm. That if I say something wrong or something stupid, I'll be ridiculed, or if I'm not connected, then I'll speak just for my head, and I just go on and talk a lot, and then regret that I say things that's not really represent what I want to say, and fear of what others think, and how to fit in. I grew up in a community, so that's the fear of like I say something different, and it's not or it's not along with that, and I won't be gonna be rejected, fear of being rejected.
Mm. Well, I don't know, you understand. It sounds like maybe she's experienced ridicule and rejection. I don't know, you understand. And that it makes sense that she might be afraid of those things. Those things are painful to experience. This one moment. In sessions earlier today, the fun just came, some rose and came through.
Yeah. And then also fear of criticism. That was a strong one that I did get more at home.
Mm, mm. Was she, was she or is she at her age criticized within her family? Has she experienced that?
Yeah.
I don't know, you understand. And ask her if she wants reassurance that, knowing your actual age, that you're not living with the person or persons who did the ridiculing and the criticizing.
Yes. She said she get it.
Let her know you're glad she can feel more safe. And ask her if she would like you to check in with her while she's, adjusting and also, working it out with you, um, what you'll help her with as far as protecting.
Yeah. She definitely wants me to check in with her.
And check-ins can be brief. Ask her how often would she want, once a day, every other day, or how often would she like you to check in for for the next couple of weeks or so.
She says when things come up, when um, when things come up for me to protect.
Mm-hmm. And when things come up, and does that work for you? Will you let her know you're kind of check in when things come up?
Mm.
And does she also want just kind of a regular check-in to, you know, talk about how you can help her and whatever else she wants to share with you?
Yeah, she wants to stay in a um, kind of in my notice, and definitely doesn't. She doesn't want me to forget about her. Like
If
she
you'd
can
like,
stay.
let her know you understand. And if you'd like, you can reassure her that she's a part of you and that now that you've gotten more acquainted, that you won't forget her and you won't abandon her. If that's true for you, you can reassure her. And that's our demo for today.
Mm.
And Sarah, check-ins are brief, in case you're concerned this will take over your life. You know, could be 30 seconds, could be a couple of minutes. They're they're brief, so it doesn't get into, you know, uh, it doesn't have to be a bunch of processing or anything for check-ins.
The check-ins also happen just when, I mean, just kind of randomly when you're not experiencing a circumstance, when I don't necessarily experience a circumstance when I do need to speak up or something like that? Or is it usually just?
Mhm. Most people schedule them. Yeah. And, you can figure out what's the best time for you and, what's easy to remember. Or some people, uh, some of the people I work with put it on their phone reminder, especially if they have a challenge remembering to check in with a part or parts. But it really helps develop trust between a part and you yourself. Um, Actually, go ahead and welcome back the parts who eased back, gave space. The part in the who gave space. I guess the other ones eased back. Thank all your parts. And thank you so much. I'll be getting more into the teaching and thank you for volunteering. I really appreciate.
Mhm.
Yeah, you did really well with that. So basic knowledge of IFS, will tend to flip everything you thought you knew about people and personality and how it works, from upside down to right side up, along with expansion brain spotting. I find IFS especially spiritually compatible with Gaudiya Vaishnavism. and I'll explain. So Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, he's considered, maybe the foremost trauma expert or one of them, and author of The Body Keeps the Score. He includes IFS as one of the primary therapies he recommends therapists learn. I saw him say it on video to a group of therapists. Dick Schwartz is the founder of IFS. He was trained in family systems as a fellow marriage and family therapist. He proceeded to apply family systems to the internal worlds of the people he was working with, his one-on-one clients. And he was and is a keen observer and developed IFS over 36 years. And he discovered several things. He discovered that we are all multiples. Most people are familiar with multiple personality disorder, now called dissociative identity disorder. So that is characterized by normally extreme trauma and dissociation to the point where the person's core self loses consciousness when a part of them is dominant. So the parts or they can be called alters, have personality and are distinct. For example, if one part has diabetes, that part needs insulin, but that same insulin could be dangerous for another part who doesn't have diabetes. So it just gives you a sense how distinct the parts can be, especially when there's that level of dissociation. From the Nurses Learning Network, quote, one alter may even have a disease that the others do not, for example, diabetes or asthma. I met someone who had DID, who was jealous of a part who was seductive and well-loved by her husband. It can get complicated. She chose to do therapy with DID experts and united her system. So Dick Schwartz discovered everyone is a multiple, although most people stay conscious and retain memory of what their parts are doing. And they don't have the blacking out and lost time that is DID is characterized by. Parts form to cope with trauma and negative life experiences, and can also form from other repetitive experiences that may be positive. Some people have a self-like manager that can be challenging to distinguish from self. Dr. Schwartz also discovered that everyone has a core self or soul that is not impacted by anything the person has gone through psychologically. So, if someone ever says, I am broken, it's not accurate. More accurate might be a part of me feels like she or he or it is broken. So this is consistent with the Bhagavad Gita, where the soul is not, burned by fire, withered by the wind, or slain. It's consistent. He identified the qualities of our self or soul, and being alliterative and to help people remember, he lists them as C words: compassionate, clear, connected, calm, curious, confident, courageous, and creative. In the case of devotees, our souls tend to be connected to our Guru Varga, Gaura Nitai, and Radha and Krishna. We could possibly add some D words like devoted, dedicated, and delightful. We could go to the 26 qualities of a pure devotee and add kind, equal, charitable, benevolent, humble, steady, sane, and friendly, etc. Suffice to say, our souls have great qualities and are a wonderful resource for trauma healing, for healing parts that may be wounded in different ways. He also discovered that every part of every person is good, in the sense they all have a positive intention towards the self or soul. This makes parts open to more effective and less harsh or negatively impactful roles in a person's system, the protectors. And you witness how quite often protectors would rather be doing the opposite of what they are doing. You witness there is a protector who's been keeping the person from expressing, who wants to encourage the person to express boldly. So that's quite common, that once a part feels safe or imagines feeling safe, protective parts quite often want to do the opposite of what they have been doing. Um, so if a part clearly has no positive intentions towards the person, it's not a part. So you may want to check for an entity or, a projection from an ill-wishing person. I have experienced that on occasion, not that often. That said, not all parts behavior is good, as you know from living in this world. Where things can go awry, where they can go off, is that parts quite often get stuck in the past, can get stuck at the point of trauma. Parts frequently get habituated to roles that may have been totally helpful to cope at some point and then become counterproductive. They're not so helpful, what the part's doing, even though the part's intention is still helpful for the person. They often think their person is way younger than the person is, and you witness that with the demo, and may not know what the person knows. So, when I work with people, quite often, the person is, guided to help the part be aware of what the person knows. And that could include, the impacts of what the part has been doing. For example, young parts might think instant pleasure or gratification will make their person feel good and be super helpful. Uh, Young kids and the ice cream cone or whatever it is, uh, so that can be an example. In the course of therapy, I have met parts who wake their person up in the middle of the night to get more done. Helping those parts be aware that lack of sleep made it harder to focus and get things done. Help the part, come to agree not to keep doing that. I have met parts who mimic a parent or parents because of their powerful position growing up or other reasons. I met a part who generated nightmares for the person due to youthful boredom. The part was bored with the sleep happening and was generating nightmares. So giving bored parts an imaginary place to play while letting the person sleep has been helpful also. I have met parts who procrastinate to protect from something bad happening. These are just some out of, many possibilities and examples. Other parts, and this is a quite common one. Other parts I've come across take shelter of hopelessness to protect the person from the pain of disappointment. So if there's hope, then there can be disappointment. Still, other parts I've worked with generate anxiety and are always vigilant or on edge to keep the trauma from happening again or to stay prepared for disaster at all times. Yet other parts I've met develop strategies to avoid their person being exposed to painful feelings. Avoidance of feelings, very common. Parts can numb, block, form a wall, take the person out of pain by dissociation or dissociating substance like drugs or alcohol. I've seen all of these strategies in play. Parts who have experienced trauma can be extremely risk averse, including parts I have met who don't want their person to leave the home or drive. Car accident, parts like, I'm going to protect my person from driving. So I've seen that. The parts are just trying to be helpful. Sometimes parts create physical symptoms, usually pain or itching, to get attention. These are parts who may have experienced attention needs not being met or early or only receive negative attention. They can clamor for attention from their person. I worked with someone who, routinely, not anymore, but routinely would have 5 or 6 parts like, I want the attention, I want the attention, I want the attention. I worked with someone who had itching that started in one limb. That got his attention, even if it wasn't the most positive attention. It was attention. Other parts in that person's system apparently noticed this work to get attention, and the itching spread to other limbs. We arranged for regular check-ins between sessions, along with positive attention to various parts located in arms and legs and wherever the itching was in session. We negotiated with parts for a less harsh way of getting attention. Light taps were the preferred option offered by parts. So I guess I could just do a little tap. The itching would clear up until a part rebelled, or maybe a tap didn't get enough attention. Then there'd be another cycle. After several rounds of this, he reported that the itching and rashes cleared up and were no longer an issue. It was just parts getting attention. It doesn't mean, a substitute for, needed medical attention, but, it can be a nice adjunct or backup option, when in this case, the anti-itch creams aren't working, something else to check. Then there are the managers. One of my colleagues mentioned asking a client, for example, what is it like having your life run by a 12-year-old? Marriages have been saved in my practice just by pointing out that their spouse isn't the one who wants to end the marriage. It is a part of their spouse who expressed he or she wants it to end. I remember saying this person wouldn't be in marriage therapy if he or she wanted your marriage to end. It was a part. That was accurate, and those couples are still together, doing well at this point. I have seen parts make it hard to make decisions because they disagree with each other. I'm sure you've heard people say, for example, a part of me wants to do this, and a part of me wants to do that. A part of me wants to live here, a part of me wants to move there. So that's accurate, and it has made its way into common way of speaking. It can also really help a person feel better about themselves, rather than saying, I am angry. A part of me is angry, or I am, fill in the blank. You would say a part of me is such and such, or is doing such and such. I have met people who have a terrible time feeling peaceful because of parts in conflict with each other. Dick Schwartz refers to these as polarizations. For marriages, often the first time they've really heard and understood each other is in a therapy session. Similarly, internal family systems is often the first time these polarized parts have heard and understood each other. One devotee had a part who just wanted to go and stay at Radhakund and chant. So you might run into that working with devotees. Basically, parts therapy work can help clear or transform obstacles on the path of bhakti. I had a part, and this is me disclosing, I had a part who would harangue my system about the need to chant more and be single-pointed and not do anything else or read anything that wasn't pure bhakti. The part quoted sadhus and pure devotees I have known. So I would tend to agree with what the part said. And, here's some sort of quotes from this particular part. You've had so many lifetimes. Do you want another one? Why aren't you weeping for Radha and Krishna? When the house is on fire, it's an emergency. Do you really want to waste your valuable human form of life? That was a total waste of time, whatever it was. How is this going to help you at the time of death? So this was is protective part. The part also didn't particularly like my having any husband, so not his favorite part. You should make Krishna your only husband, the part would say, quoting my guru and leaving out the fact that Gurudev actually married us when I was not quite ready to completely renounce. Because I mostly agree with what the part said, it actually took a long time for me to consider this an obstacle. When I took the time to focus attention and chat with the part, I noticed her energy was rigid and frustrated, so not my guru's energy. The part was not well liked in the system and complained of all the criticism and pushback from other parts. She had become quite disgruntled. I asked her if she was aware of the impact and asked her if she wanted my feedback about the impact. She mentioned her approach was not working as well as she would like, and she listened to feedback. I then asked her if she would be open if there was a way to motivate that would be more effective and less harsh, and probably, more liked in the system. She said yes with kind of a hopeful tone. I explained that I am a therapist and that encouragement and other positive reinforcement has been researched to be more effective than criticism for change. Actually, they found that criticism increases the desire to change and makes it harder to change. So she agreed to try it. And the next time I chanted japa, when I chanted japa, I noticed my chanting was more peaceful and focused. Parts were rebelling against japa or distracting from japa because of their annoyance with that part ordering them around and kind of bullying them. They seemed to be cooperating instead. They responded in a positive way to the heavy part shifting her role. I imagine they especially wanted to validate and encourage the welcome change and approach from that part, who was quite strong in the system. The formerly critical, fanatical part is now much more encouraging, motivating for bhakti in positive ways. She is pleased with the greater acceptance and appreciation from other parts. So that can be a benefit for devotees. Protectors. So today I demonstrated indirect access, which is when the therapist guides the person to approach their part or parts. And that's what I mostly do. But some people I work with are much more comfortable with direct access. And that's when the therapist speaks directly to the person's parts. So inviting the part to, come near the person's mouth and speak directly through them. I personally have a preference for the indirect access because that also teaches someone over time how to work with their own parts. So they're less dependent on having a therapist over time. Before working with and supporting parts, it's helpful to make sure you as a helpful have enough soul energy and that the person you are helping has enough soul or self energy to approach a part. So you observe me asking, how do you feel towards this part? And if it's not, curious, compassionate, all those qualities of self, if it's, frustrated, embarrassed, whatever, it is, that's not those qualities of self, then, you can just creatively, um, uh, ask the part's permission to give space. If a part refuses to give space, then the attention goes to that part. So we're not bypassing protectors. Let's see. Oh, if at any time you find you find that you are judging the person or a part of that person, invite the judging part to ease back and give space. So that's part of a helper or therapist attending to their own parts when they're working with someone. Suppose someone says their issue is internal criticism, a common protector. So I'm sort of going through, and some of this will be what you observed in the demo. The helper may say, where is this part located in or around your body? I may then prompt the person to mindfully get acquainted with the part. I may ask, is the part aware of your presence and attention? How is she or he or it responding? And then here I say, go with the same sex of the person as the person, and let them know that they can, if the part is a different pronoun, they can go with that. Or if they feel more comfortable with a different pronoun, they can go with that. We're then trained, IFS therapists trained to ask, how do you feel towards this part? IFS works best when someone's self or soul approaches one part at a time. That's where, really powerful healing can happen. With a protector, the person may say, I feel frustrated or fed up or just wanted to go away. In that case, there's another part. So, and it's a judgment call whether you just ask that part right off the bat. Are you willing to, ease back and give space somewhere else you'd like to be? Or if you let the part be heard, frustrated parts often want to be heard a little bit before they're more comfortable giving space. You can prompt the person to respond when the part's sharing by saying, I get it. With vulnerable parts, saying I understand more. It's a way of communicating, hearing, and understanding. At some point, you would prompt the person to say, are you willing to ease back and give space, maybe go into the gallery? Or, I live on Maui, so I say, would you like to take a mini vacation? Parts might want to go to the beach or devotionally, would you like to go to a kirtan or whatever, you can use your creative instincts. If the part agrees to give space, you may ask the person, how do you feel towards the initial part? When the person responds with one of the 8C words, or, other Vaishnav quality, there's enough space to approach that part. If the frustrated or fed up part says no to giving space, the attention goes to that part I've mentioned. All parts are welcome is an IFS phrase we learned in training. It's oft repeated. This is especially important with protectors. They tend to feel safer and appreciate when the therapist or their person tells them, we will not go anywhere without your permission. So building safety with protectors is designed to allow later access to deeper vulnerable parts directly impacted by trauma, parts that they're protecting. And they like the question, a lot of times protectors like to be asked, what would you like us to know? Or what would you like, you can have the person ask, what would you like me to know? That where they can just really be like, it's an open-ended question. I can say what's going on and I will be heard. These are some questions that suggested to prompt the person to ask a protective part, in this case, an internal critic. So these are, it's not hard and fast rules. These are suggested questions. How old are you? How old do you think I am? If the part thinks the person is much younger, updating the part. For example, I went to grade school and graduated, then junior high and high school. I lived in this city or temple. Then I moved to another place. I married and had some number of children. I did this service or job or career. Now I live in this town and I am such and such years old, This is followed by inviting the part as you witness to give a response. The part may express surprise or even doubt, or say something like, that's a relief. I don't have to work so hard. A lot of times protectors are really kind of exhausted. If the part thinks the person is just slightly younger than they are, but still an adult, the person can just say their actual age. The more detailed updating is when there's a big gap in what the part thinks and how old the person is. You can ask, who do you protect? How do you protect? And as part of that, you can ask the part if the part likes his or her job. You can ask about concerns, what the part fears might happen if he or she stops protecting in this way or stops criticizing. Where did you learn to protect in this way, or what was going on around you the first time you remember protecting in this way is a question that you can ask. Um, and that and that could end up bringing up more deeper stuff in the system. So if you're wanting to just kind of really just stay with kind of current with what's going on with the protector, this is a very optional question. I don't always do it. Um, uh, in my experience, critical parts are often protecting the person from the external criticism which they have experienced. So you may follow up with curiosity questions like, do you mimic mom or dad? Uh, what inspired you to mimic? In what way does your criticism or some other way of protecting help protect? Uh, and then another question you can ask apart, are you aware of the impact? So this can be a little bit like motivational interviewing, what's good about protecting in this way? What's working in the park? Oh, this is working in this way. And then you can ask, are you aware of any negative impacts or any problems from how you're protecting? And the part might just say no, or the part might be kind of aware that, you know, it seems to be really annoying other parts, or that some of the more negative impacts. If the part's not doesn't seem very aware of any negative impacts, you can ask uh, if the part would like to be more aware of the impacts, and the person's solar self can share the impact that she or he has noticed. You can prompt, this is particularly, harsh internal critics. If you know of a way you could be more effective and less harsh, would you be interested? In my experience, they are, you know, uh, critical parts, harsh internal protectors are, they really want to be effective. So effective is a real attractive to them. Um, and they don't mind being less harsh if they're aware of that's why they're so judged in the system and, not so well liked, and hearts would prefer to be liked and accepted. Um, so if the part says yes, I'd be interested. I'll often invite the person to share suggestions, their self. Then after, I may ask if the part wants to hear impact from me, and then chime in and mention the research. Criticism has been shown to increase the desire for change and yet make it harder to change. Research also shows that encouragement and positive reinforcement are more effective for change than criticism. You can ask the part, which I did in this session you witnessed, if you felt completely safe and could do whatever role you would like in the system, what would you most like to do? So often this is the opposite of what the part has been doing, as I mentioned. You can ask if the part would like to try out the new way of motivating or the new role. If there's especially if there's still time left in the session. And then you can negotiate timelines for change with check-ins if the part would like check-ins from their person. So, it's sometimes the part wants a little training, like it's a new job. Sometimes the part wants, wants to a schedule, like, well, we'll see how it goes. Um, Maybe I'll try encouraging every other day, or maybe I'll encourage in the morning, or, like often it's just a gradual transition between what they've been doing and what they would most like to do. So, um, and so, can negotiate timelines for change. If the part would like check-ins and check-ins. Prompt the person to thank the part, validate the part's helpfulness and willingness to try something new. Invite the person to welcome back any other parts who kindly gave space, and thank all their parts, towards the completion of the session. So the goal of all of this. The goal of internal family systems is self or soul leadership. This is when your compassionate, connected soul is in the leadership position and parts have taken on adaptive supporting roles. You know, they're they've taken on their preferred roles. And sometimes really young parts just want to play. Like, I never got to be a child. I never got to play. And with IFS, you can say, you know, would you like your ideal place to play? And the person helps the part, you know, co-create a place the part can play, you know, like uh, when the person is doing some boring adult stuff, especially about taxes, for example, you know, the parts don't have to be young and really bored and like trying to get the person to stop doing their taxes. So, um, uh, so parts, you know, so that with the successful IFS therapy, parts have taken on these, you know, supportive roles that they prefer. Vulnerable parts have had the opportunity to have unburdened their pain. And so protective parts definitely feel a lot safer when their vulnerable parts have been, and I'll be teaching more about vulnerable parts in other classes, so I won't get into too much detail, but basically where the vulnerable parts have, you know, been witnessed, they've unburdened, they've been retrieved into the present, they're no longer stuck at the point of trauma or stuck in various unsafe situations. And protective parts, like one, you know, one common protector is an, you know, an angry protector. And a lot of people just go at their angry protectors, like, you have to change, you can't get angry, don't get angry. Um, and that tends to aggravate an angry protector. Whereas, you know, if you get curious about why they're protecting in this way, and then the vulnerable parts that they're protecting are unburdened, at that point you can, you know, when you reapproach the angry protector, they're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll do something different. So the parts work um, actually supports someone's system to be more cohesive, more peaceful internally, and more cooperative towards whatever the valued goals of the soul are. So, um, you know, uh, Vaishnav goals included. So, sometimes in early parts therapy, people are like, you know, oh, there's so many parts, you know, like it can seem in early IFS therapists like not that often, but sometimes it can feel less cohesive, like just getting accustomed to, you know, I'm not just me, but I am me and I have these parts. So, um, so that's the teaching portion for today, and I'm gonna open up for, um, you know, and if anyone has practiced and wants to share about the practicing of the expansion brain spotting, um, that would be really great. Just don't give any identifying information of the person you worked with, but more like, you know, how it worked. So, and also other questions, comments, and, you know, sometimes people who have received a demo want to share some follow-up. So looks like Pranada.
Hare Krishna. That was really powerful. Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Surit. Thank you, Chandrika. I really like internal family systems, and I'm looking forward to learning more. This is exciting. I had two questions, and I wanted to tell you, I did a session yesterday with someone on the brain spotting. And the first thing, it was something very interesting happened, which was confirming and reassuring and kind of exciting for me, which was that I wanted to do an outside window first to see if I saw anything, and then do the inside window. So as I was working with her, I just took the pointer and went all the way from left to right really slowly, and I was watching everything going on in her face and her eyes especially. And at one point, her eyes went like this, and something happened in her face. And I was like, okay, I think I know the spot. And so then I said, now, and I didn't tell her, I just told her I was going to observe something. And then I did the middle and the sides, and she went right for the spot, right, the spot that I had seen. So that was like kind of exciting, you know, to see that, visually see that for me. And then the session went, I would consider decent. And I had printed out your notes, and I had used one of your basic templates. And she liked the session very much. She wants to do more. And it was a small thing that we worked on, but I could tell it was attached to trauma. So I didn't want to go too far with it right away. So that was very interesting for me, and I thought I would share that. A couple of questions. You know, you asked the part to kind of like find a place to withdraw a little bit, so you could, you know, the fearful part, the frustrated part, you asked them to move aside so that you could talk to the protective part. Is it important for these other parts that you're not working with currently, and if they allow the movement away, or you know, retreat a little bit, is it important for them to find a different space away from the part you want to work with, like putting them in the gallery or on the vacation? Is that an important part, or can they just hang out?
So with the just hanging out, it's more common when you double check with the part for the part to say, I don't feel like I have enough space, and request more space. So that's a way to go. It's an option. There's no, like I said, hard and fast rules, and some people tend to work more that way. And then, you know, if the target part, you know, is kind of shrinking or withdraws, or, you know, and you're asking, is there another part present you're not comfortable with? And then the part might say, yeah, that part who gets frustrated and angry with me is like right there. You know, it eased back, but not very much, you know. So so I do have a tendency to go with the gallery, and you know, maybe another room in the house, or a mini vacation, or
How do you decide between the two modalities with a client patient?
oh, that's a good question. I mean, sometimes the person will just, you know, right off the bat say, I want, you know, I found you on the IFS website, then we're going with IFS or whatever. Uh, I will choose uh, the brain spotting, expansion brain spotting, more if they're have a lot going on all at once. I will tend to want to help, or there's just really a lot of activation in the system. Like after the fires here on Maui. Um, I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think the expansion brain spotting is easier to access towards the beginning of therapy than IFS. The the parts, you know, so often the parts have trust issues. And so if they don't know me, how can they feel enough trust to open up? So whereas the, you know, particularly the expansion brain spotting is just, you know, easier to access, and gives the parts sort of time to get acquainted with me. It it's a judgment. Like so many things, it's an intuitive instinct call.
Thank you. One last question. Do you do work on your own? Like, in other words, do you do brain spotting on yourself, and do you do IFS on yourself without a
Uh,
therapist?
uh, yeah, so when someone's not with a therapist and they're doing like brain spotting, it's usually more gaze spotting.
Gaze spotting.
So just finding somewhere in the room to gaze. You know, a plumber's pipes are often not plumbed, so I could do more with myself than I do. And when I do with myself, it's really helpful. And also if I'm anxious or nervous about something, I will sometimes just do a broad to all my parts. You know, we're safe. It's going to be okay. We're all safe, you know.
Like on
So
the
that
shark thing, did you do your own brain spotting or did you see a therapist?
I invited a colleague to do it for me. Yeah, and it cleared up in 2 sessions.
Thank
That
you.
was a little more major. Um, I you know I met someone and you know, this was just on somewhere on Maui. So I met someone. There was her and her husband, and she had just experienced her first expansion brain spotting with another with a colleague and who was also there. And she said to her husband, "You're going to get trained in that and and work on me." She was quite assertive.
Hare Krishna. Haribol, thank you.
You're welcome. Rasangi,
Haribol. I just want to
Haribol.
say, Sarit, that was so beautiful. I loved watching your honest responses. You could tell you were really being genuine. And if you weren't feeling it, you weren't just saying. So, and to watch the shift, you know, and where that part became accessible to you was really wonderful, really encouraging, the shift, seeing that shift. So, where do you get the pointers?
Hmm?
Where do you get a
Oh,
pointer like that?
yeah. So oh, well, the one like what I have is that same $5.99 pointer on Amazon that I sent out the links for. But and you know, I always wanted a better pointer, but I couldn't find it anywhere. And then Lisa Larson, who developed the expansion brain spotting, and also a lot of those frames that I sent out, she gave permission to use them with the teaching that I'm doing. But uh what she, you know, because she was having the same issue I was having, like, where do you find the kind of pointer you want? Um, so she discovered if you pull out the little white pointy thing, and then what I did was I just cut off the end of the point and stuck the base back in, so it was a little more of a level. And then, and be careful with super glue. And you buy like 12 millimeter little magnets, which are available online. I couldn't just get 2 of them or 4 of them, but we got some of those, and then you super glue the bottom magnet onto the pointer. You put the super glue and you stick
Yeah,
that on, and then you super glue.
yeah, yeah,
So one base can have multiple tips. You super glue another one of these little magnets onto the, you know, whatever
yeah,
it is you use.
yeah, yeah. That's so cool. So you change the top sometimes for what reason? You change it up?
I mean, this is pretty recent. So far, I've just used this one, and people like it. It's an
Thank you.
itty bitty lap. This is a lapis lazuli crystal.
Lovely. I liked it. It seemed so like mystical. So I was wondering. And the other thing, I thank you so much for the clarification on the parts. I've done some parts work. I still do it. Um, and in the beginning, I had a 4-year-old who wouldn't look at me at all.
Hmm.
And she's grown up now. She's looking at me and we have a relationship. And then my 15-year-old turned away. It's very interesting work. And I
Hmm.
understand that I failed her and I haven't stood up for her and she hasn't feel acknowledged and heard. And so it's about developing relationships, even
Oh,
with our own
definitely.
parts.
Yeah.
I love that. It's developing a relationship with all the different, we're the sum of our parts, right? That's like a
Yeah.
famous saying. So getting to know and to, yeah, develop relationships, healthy ones with our own parts is like such a fascinating, amazing thing. So,
Yeah. Like Dick talks about making friends with your
right.
critic. Yeah.
It was hard for me in the beginning to not see my parts as evil. I saw them all as evil. They felt evil to me. They were harsh and critical, lots of critic in there. So it
Yeah,
was,
like you didn't see your part as evil. A part of you saw the part as evil.
that's so interesting.
Yeah. If there's judgment, if there's that kind of criticism, it's another part. It's not self.
And I love
Yes,
the fact,
your soul self does not criticize. And we'll, like you were saying about the 4-year-old who didn't want to look at you. So we'll get more into that when we work with the exiles with the vulnerable parts in a future class, a near future class.
but it is,
I'll
it
just
is,
say that I had one person I worked with where the part was really afraid of being seen and just stayed in a cave. And the person just I guided the person to just hang out at the outside of the cave, not try to go in. And so it was really after, God, it might have even been 3 or 4 sessions, the part, came out of the cave and met with the person and felt safe enough to come out of where she was hiding.
that's my little girl. It took a while
Yeah.
to finesse her and convince her that it was safe to come out now, that I had control, that I was making things
Yeah.
better.
Mm,
Things weren't so dangerous or scary anymore. But I had
yeah.
that. So thank you. It's awesome.
Thank you, Rasangi and Padmavati.
Hi, Val.
Arigal.
Yeah, I really like the internal family systems. It makes a lot of sense to me, and I really appreciate learning more about it. And it reminds me of actually a technique that I learned in my art therapy master's program. On the section where we were learning techniques for trauma, we did one where we had a conversation with ourself through writing with both hands, the dominant hand and the non-dominant hand. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this technique or you've done it, but basically the dominant hand will write a question, kind of like, tell me, maybe if you're choosing a specific traumatic experience or something that you went through and that you want to talk about or access the part that is having a hard time and needs some help. Using the dominant hand to write, tell me, start off by saying, like, tell me what happened, tell me about it. And then the non-dominant hand can respond. And and then, you can have a conversation kind of back and forth and see where it goes. And I was really, it was actually a really profound experience for me to do that for the first time. I was addressing like a car accident that I had been in. And so I suddenly access the part of myself that was the
Padmavati,
child.
my apologies, but it's 8:30.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so writing can be used with IFS also. Yeah, writing is a good tool. And if anyone wants to try the dominant, non-dominant, that sounds really great also. So today, Pranada has kindly offered to set up breakout rooms for anyone who wants to stay and practice brain spotting. I mentioned last week we'd be having that opportunity. Um, so Pranada knows anyone who wants to practice now. Go ahead and put up um, your little hand thingy or your actual hand. Um, counted, let's see, sorry, see. And this can be, 30 minutes if that's the time you have, where you just go back and forth 15 minutes, set a timer on one of your phones. Or
Right
it could
now,
be
right now we only have one hand, and it's someone on an iPhone. I don't know if they have a video anyway, so I'm not sure that we have.
Oh, okay.
She does have
Okay.
video, but
So,
it's only one person.
yeah, so it's a weekday. People have busy lives. I totally get it. So we will perhaps do it another time. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Padmavati. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate. And I'll see you next week.